Not to be confused with a MOOC, a MOG or a MOOG, what's getting some educationists really excited is the MOOC. It stands for Massive Open Online Course, and it shows every sign of really being quite big. Actually, even bigger than that.
I think MOOCs has a huge potential. The technology that enables one professor to teach not just 100 students, but 100,000, that really changes the economics of higher education.
So what is a MOOC? Well, it's a sort of parcelled up bit of education. Enrolment is unlimited, hence massive. There are no entry requirements, so it's open, it's online, and, well, it's a course, so course. At the moment, the big players in the MOOC world are in the United States. On the East Coast, there's Harvard and MIT. On the West Coast, Stanford University. But this isn't about geography. The point is anyone, anywhere in the world with a computer can have access to the best courses from the best professors, all for free. For example, I could do a MOOC studying the science of cooking, or what about competitive strategy? Or Roman architecture, perhaps? Or maybe a spot of differential equations in action. Come to think of it, not a bad place to start would be the machine learning MOOC from Stanford University, because the professor who teaches that is kind of one of the godfathers of MOOCs.
About 2 years ago, I put one of my classes online and it reached an audience of 100,000 students. To put that number in context, I used to teach 400 students a year at Stanford. That means that to reach a comparable size audience, I would have had to teach at Stanford for 250 years. Following that, I got together with one of my friends, Daphne Collar, and we decided to start Coursera to take the technology that my team had developed and to partner with top universities so that anyone in the world can learn from the best professors at the best universities.
The MOOC, though, isn't simply a one-way exercise. There are assessments and assignments and quizzes all online. It seems a short step to go from that to real-world qualifications obtained entirely through MOOCs. Already we are told that some employers are looking favourably on those candidates that present themselves MOOCed up.
The certificate by itself isn't what's getting them the job, but it is certainly opening the door to more interviews. Because when employers see that you've taken advanced classes from Princeton or Caltech or Stanford, that means a lot, and it actually opens the door to more interviews.
So far, Britain has rather lagged behind when it comes to the world of MOOCs, which, well, it's a bit of a shame really, given our glorious and proud tradition of distance learning, as exemplified by the Open University. If you fell asleep in front of the TV during the 70s, chances are you woke up at 2 a.m. to see something like this.
The way in which we define rate of change, indeed the way in which we calculate it, but we can get an idea of what's going on.
Now the people who brought you that are teaming up with 21 other universities to launch FutureLearn, a British MOOC initiative. They plan to go live in the autumn. This is not, they say, about replacing the traditional university education, but instead widening access.
This isn't just a redistribution of traditional education. This is about trying to use a connected environment of the web to deliver something different, to reinvent learning in some way, and trying to bring that to life using the new online social networking tools that are now available to us to really do something different, something fresh, and critically to make sure that we're not just pumping out information, but the people are actually learning through what they're doing.
One interesting feature about MOOCs is that in the United States, where they're most advanced, well, they're being led by the biggest names in higher education, places like Harvard and Yale. Whilst here in Britain, some of our biggest names are holding back. Here at Oxford, they say that MOOCs won't prompt them to change anything that they do. Is this clever brand management, or could they miss the boat?
Oxford delivers degrees in a way which really sets a premium on the tutorial experience and the teaching on a one-to-one or two-to-one basis. Other universities already deliver a lot of their courses primarily through lectures. MOOCs are a further extension of that. But you have to accept, I think, however exciting the concept of the MOOC is, that there is necessarily some loss when you're not in a person-to-person environment. The MOOC, from my perspective, can never really substitute for that.
People are giving this stuff away for free, so who could have a problem with that? Except, what if this is the big disruptive technology that's about to rip through higher education in the way that MP3s did through music or the Amazon did through book selling? There are certainly some big thinkers who believe that the cost of higher education is going to have to come down, and MOOCs are one way to achieve that. Recently, Bill Clinton said, "I think the only sustainable answer is to find a less expensive delivery system. We simply can't continue to have the cost of a university education go up at twice the rate of inflation every decade." In the United States, the California state universities are experimenting using MOOCs to replace some of their courses. For example, San Jose University was to offer a MOOC by the eminent Harvard professor Michael Sandel on justice. Except the San Jose philosophy faculty said, "No way, Jose." Of course, being philosophers, they used a lot more words than that. In fact, they wrote an open letter to Professor Sandel at Harvard. Professors who care about public education, they wrote, should not produce products that will replace professors, dismantle departments, and provide a diminished education for students at public universities. If MOOCs do take hold, well, there are plenty of implications to consider. Will we need as many universities in the future? Will we need as many academics? And can people do their university degrees without ever leaving home? In Britain and other places where the cost of higher education is a huge political issue, this could be the route to lower costs. But if so, at what cost?
Generally, when the internet hits an industry, it tends to find basic inefficiencies in it and enable a better delivery of some of those aspects. I am sure that a combination of online delivery and campus delivery can deliver some aspects of education more cheaply than purely a campus-based experience. But I think the primary opportunity of MOOCs really is to just broaden access to a whole range of people who otherwise would never have had access to these courses.
Talk to people who are enthusiastic about MOOCs and they'll say that any institution not getting involved right now is suicidally short-sighted. In fact, you don't have to talk to them for very long before various flightless birds get referenced.
I think there is a real danger, if we're doing animal metaphors here, I think there's a real danger of a lemming-like rush, if I can mix my metaphors, onto a bandwagon. We must do MOOCs because everybody else is. Well, I think if you're confident in the product that you have, you don't rush to join everybody else. You keep an eye on what's happening, and if you want to develop your own version, you do so in your own time and on your own terms.
No one can say where MOOCs will lead, nor indeed where the money is going to come from. Most MOOC providers are commercial ventures, and yet what's the business plan? I think what we can probably safely say is that their prospects depend on whether they improve the prospects of people who take MOOCs. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to my machine learning MOOC at Stanford. One great advantage of this way of learning, none of the restrictions of the past apply.
This is a collection of responses regarding what content different people would most like to see. And are you eating? I hope you have enough for everyone. There's 100,000 of us here.